I know and this is kind of the nature of me, but also like the nature of doing stand-up comedy and writing and well, I'll say more stand-up comedy, not necessarily writing, but like being always critical of everything. And I know that like that's kind of the shtick of this podcast, right? I come on and I complain about things, and I try to make it funny or insightful, at times heartfelt. When I have a guest, obviously the tone changes a little bit, but I have thought about whether or not like is that what I project to people, that I'm just this guy who's constantly complaining about things? Because I really hope that that's not the case, And being back in the co-ops, I was reminded of a story that happened to me. So when I moved into my last co-op as an undergrad, which was called Castro, a phenomenal, amazing co-op, but I was dealing with depression and anxiety as I guess, as I have my whole life. And I made a conscientious effort to project like extreme happiness and positivity. So like I'm a very self-conscious, at my core, kind of a shy guy. So like when I walk by someone, and it's usually because like I don't want to make them feel weird or upset, which like ends up having the opposite effect, as we've discovered sometimes. Like walking by someone, I'll be like, "Hey, how's it going?" Like in that tone, instead of being like, "Hey, how are you?" Oh my, or like, "Hey, what's up?" Because like I don't want to come off as like too strong, even though I've been told that I do oftentimes, and I don't know. But my point is, so when I moved into Castro when I was like 20, I was like, I'm gonna go around and be like the guy who's always smiling and like, "Hey man, so good to see you. How are you? Oh wow, that's awesome," and just like that kind of almost coked up energy, and to see if it changed people's perception of me. And the fucking fact of the matter is, like, it did. Like, people were like, "Wow, we really like Eric, and he makes you feel so good when he's around." And like, I wouldn't say anything negative, essentially, ever. Eventually, that like eroded, right? Like, that's my point in this, is that you can't keep it up. But I was trying this like fake it till you make it thing, and it did work for like a good while. And I don't know if that's something I should be doing. Like, are you lying to yourself? Are you lying to others? Are you shutting off parts of yourself that like do need attention? Or are you shutting off and like letting those negative parts atrophy so that the positive ones can actually grow? So I've like contemplated, should I be doing that in this house here? Should I be doing it with like new people and friends I'm going to make in Germany? It's so antithetical to who I am. Like, I am a naturally like bare your soul, keep no secrets, wear your heart on your sleeve person. And while ostensibly people will say, "Oh, vulnerability, that's so admirable or refreshing," it can also be very exhausting for people, If that's your constant state of mind, and I'm not saying it is my constant state of mind, but like that neuroses that you're hearing here, right? Like, I can't shut off the inner monologue. Like, I have to, like, everything you're hearing, every thought that intercedes, is that a word? I don't know. Yeah. Is it too much? How do you be true to yourself and to others while also giving yourself room to grow and taking whatever measures you need to actually like get happy, if you will? I don't know. I've also considered, like, do I just need medication? Like, if you could guarantee me that I could take a pill and it would solve this, I would. Like, I'm really just scared about medicating myself in that way, because I've known people actually from the co-ops where I've done that, and whether it's when they're switching medications or what have you, it's like they become dependent on it, right? And so, of course, like, yeah, you don't want to get off your meds, but it's like when they do, they're so much worse off than before they were ever on them. And like a few of them have had psychotic breaks and literally been institutionalized. So like, that's not good, right? They're like, I have friends, people I'm not really in close contact anymore, but like I do care about deeply, who like I've thought like this person might become a mass shooter, or they might kill themselves, or what have you. And like, I don't want to, I navigate close enough to those waters already. Like, I'm not in them, to be clear, but like that if I really fucked with my brain with a medication, like I don't want to be cast into that adjacent pool, right? So I don't know, but it does feel like I don't know. On one hand, it feels like to me like my life is not working, right? Like, as I said last week or the week before, I think, yeah, the week before, like, I have like these little blips of success, and then I'm like trying to figure out, okay, well, how do I actually foster that into something sustainable? And I don't know the answer. I'm certainly trying as we literally speak. But I went to a cafe the other day, and I love social interaction. I genuinely love meeting new people and talking. And I was at a cafe, and I overheard some people talking about vaccine efficacy and mask wearing and so forth. And I ended up engaging with them, and some of them were like kind of the people I was talking about last week that are like super like, no, we need to wear masks forever and blah blah blah. There's what's the downside? But I ended up talking to this guy Dave, and he ended up he's probably 30 years older than me, and super awesome. He was highly complimentary to me. He's like, dude, you're gonna be a success. You're so smart. You're so interesting. Keep up the writing. Blah blah blah. Right? At one point, I'm like, is this guy gay? Is he hitting on me? Like, I don't think he is, but like, is this the motivation for seeming like he walked with me to Whole Foods after the cafe? Like, we ended up talking for like, I don't know, 45 minutes, an hour or something. Well, I would like to think that he was being truthful and earnest with me, but he did motivate me. He did make me feel like, no, it's going to work out. It's just like, I need to figure out how to make a living while doing this stuff. And I don't know the answer to that, but like, compared to a couple weeks ago, I am in a better mood, so that's good. The brain's a weird fucking organ, right?
Romance threw itself off the 30th floor. Get up, wipe yourself a